Why is the Prime Minister spending endless time trying to secure consensus with the Nationals to take action on climate change? Am I correct in believing he has the power in Cabinet to actually lead and immediately declare the policy the great majority of Australians and the business lobby now want?
So the news this evening is that the National Party Room has held a further meeting tonight. And they have now finalised a list of demands and given formal approval to Barnaby Joyce to negotiate with the Prime Minister on this. They want more funding for regional Australia as part of the deal. The two leaders will negotiate over the coming days, and the Nats will meet again on Sunday afternoon in Canberra. Tim Wilson, as the Assistant Minister, are you aware of what these demands are from the Nats at this stage or not?
Well, firstly, David, it was disappointing I wasn't given the opportunity to contribute to the answer of the question that was asked before, because that's precisely why we're investing $20 billion through different grants and finance mechanisms to invest in regional communities, so that regional communities don't just have jobs, but the opportunities and thrive, exactly as people have outlined. I mean, Simon was correct about critical minerals, and that's why there's a critical minerals strategy about how Australia can take advantage of the incredible rare earths and critical minerals that are available to Australia. Went through them: lithium, cobalt, nickel and the like, and how they can be critical inputs in things like renewable energy, battery technology, and of course other types of technology necessary for national security. So this is already the conversation we're having. And we've heard tonight how communities feel disempowered, and I think that's fair enough. I think there are plenty of people who want to have a voice in this conversation, because it's not just about one section of the community. It's actually about how we move as a nation forward together, and that includes rural and regional communities.
Okay, so
it includes people in the
yeah.
I'm answering the question. Rural and regional communities as well as the cities. And one of the critical things is we have members of parliament, whether people agree with whom they're elected from which communities or not, participants in that conversation, and they're actually bringing them forward to the Prime Minister, as other members of Parliament do, to say this is how we see our future through the leadership of net zero for the future of the country. And that's a fundamentally good thing. Now, the details have only been released while I've been on this program, so I haven't seen them.
But Tim, you have no intention. You have no intention to comply or to embrace the Paris Agreement, right? The net zero target. The net zero target will not keep Australia well below 2 degrees or down to 1.5.
So that's just false, Simon. Let's just start from a basic point. An entry condition of the Paris Agreement is to have a 2030 target. The Liberal National Government has a 2030 target. With all due respect to him, Chris Bowen does not, and the Labor Party does not.
But
we have every intention of honouring it, and that's why we're going through this process of introducing mechanisms, including what we need to invest in technology and to empower communities, particularly regional communities, to be part of the solution. But you know, as I know, Simon, that the challenge of climate change can't be solved by Australia in isolation. We're a little over 1% of the world's emissions. We need the rest of the world to act as part of that conversation too.
The point is, right now, the government does not have a 2050 net zero commitment, right? Because this is still held up by the Nationals. And this is what the questioner Lesleyanne is asking about. Should Cabinet just make a decision and get on with it? It's only 10 days to go until Glasgow. Or should you wait until the Nats are on board?
I think we should have a democratic process that involves cooperation from members of parliament and communities across the country, so we don't have disempowered communities and disempowered voices.
Does that mean only take forward the policy if the Nationals are on board?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on hypotheticals. I mean, I'm interested to see what the details are and what the requests are. But if it's designed to advance communities, you don't know what they're asking
for. But I'm just asking you the principle of whether you should go ahead without the Nats. Go ahead regardless. Make this commitment in Glasgow.
Why would I concede a scenario where we went ahead without taking the whole of the country with us? The principles of...
I'm not talking about the whole country. I'm talking about the Nats, because this has been dragging on all week. And you can't honestly say you're relaxed about how long this is taking, surely.
If it involves a transformation which actually leads to more jobs, cutting greenhouse gas emissions, and Australia being a responsible actor, I'd have no problem in making sure we work through those to get an outcome.
But Australia is not a responsible actor in this, right? We will be one of the only countries, our only allies that are going to this conference without an increased ambition for 2030. You've done nothing in your government the last 3 terms. You're doing nothing this term.
Well,
You've
Simon,
breached your promises to the public on reducing emissions or emissions policy, and you've got no plan for the next 3 terms of government. 2050 is 12 terms of government from now, maybe even more. What is the government going to do to increase our ambition and deliver on a Paris Agreement to keep the temperature of the planet below 2 degrees of warming?
Look, we are going to come to this 2030 debate. We're going to come to this 2030.
There's a series of accusations that have been made there, which
just
are
quickly,
false.
Tim. Just
emissions are down by 20% off 2005 levels.
Tim, that's absolute nonsense. That's somewhere between a trick and a lie.
China,
can I talk about
between 65% since
question.
2005 levels. This is the way the international standards are set. They are down by 20% since 2005. And one of the reasons why people are now calling for increased ambition is because every model and every trajectory shows that we're not just going to meet it, but we're going to beat it.
Okay.
Now, for years,
Simon,
people have been saying that isn't the case, and now
Tim,
people are coming to realise...
I've got to take you and your government to task about this 20% plan.
Now, just address that if you can. You said
Why don't
that's
you
false.
ask Chris Bowen about 20%?
Let's let Simon answer the question.
I have to take you to task on this 20% reduction by 2005. I see the advertisements, taxpayer dollars everywhere, telling Australians, great, you've done a great job reducing emissions by 20%. OK, let's put the land sector aside for a second. In the economy that we have to transform, you've reduced emissions by only 3% over the last 15 years. Yes, the land sector has been an area where we have made some progress. We stopped land clearing, not because the government made it happen, because the Queensland government shut down land clearing. Now, we are hiding behind that fig leaf. You can't stop land clearing again. You've made no inroads on transforming the rest of the economy, and you have no plan going through from here. We've got to move away from these tricks and lies. Australia is not pulling its weight on climate change.
Simon, the tricks and lies are to say that the provisions that are in the Paris Agreement and how we actually account for emissions don't count because it doesn't suit your narrative.
No other country does this, Tim. No other country uses the land sector.
Can we just agree that the bulk of that 20%...
of their emissions
can we just agree and move on that the bulk of that 20% is thanks to the land clearing and that there's disagreement as to whether or not we should be including that or not? Amelia, let me ask you.
Yeah,
back to the question. The question
so
was about leaving the Nats to one side and just the Prime Minister and Cabinet making this commitment and going ahead with it. Is it important to bring those Nats along, or is it time now to just say enough?
The time is to say enough. We need to bring this back to what this is all about. We're talking about climate change. We're talking about the crisis that we are facing right here, right now. 2050 is too late. If you want to talk about 1.5 degrees, I think about my Pacific Islander family who have been saying ever since Paris, before Paris, 1.5 to stay alive. My friend, the late Corretti Tiamalu, she's passed away now, but she was the founder of the Pacific Climate Warriors, and she used to say that the future of the Pacific Islands and the future of the fossil fuel industry cannot coexist. And it's the fossil fuel industry that needs to back down. And this is so frustrating. This is absolutely a distraction from the action that we need to take. And I think that, as a young person, you wonder why young people are frustrated right now and hitting the streets. You wonder why our mob have, felt like we haven't been listened to for so long. Australia has the potential to be a global leader on this. We are one of the sunniest countries in the world. We're one of the windiest countries in the world. We're home to the oldest surviving Aboriginal culture, Indigenous culture in the world. We have what it takes. I said it before, but I'll say it again. If you don't have what it takes to be a leader in this country, then step back and let us step up and lead.